the contenders. Welcome to CommBank Stadium here on Darug Land, here in Parramatta. It's Western Sydney Wanderers hosting Adelaide United, and it should be a cracking contest. Goals have been raining in the league and the cup when these two sides have met. And as you can see on the Isuzu Ute tunnel cam, this Western Sydney Wanderers side, they are ready to go and ready to bounce back from their first defeat of the season. They have certainly shown their quality, unbeaten across their first 6 matches, but that defeat last week, Marco Rudan's men will be fired up to prove it was just a blip and not a bump for the season ahead. While for the Reds and Carl Viet, they've shown their best, a 6-0 destruction of the 3-time premiers, a 3-0 win over the champions in the opening round, but they've also shown their worst, leaking 12 goals on their way to 3 defeats in their last 4. So they want to turn around a rough recent run. So much on the line tonight. One thing for sure, there'll be plenty of entertainment, hopefully plenty of goals as well. Across those last 3 matches, an average of 6 goals a game. 5-1, Western Sydney beat Adelaide in the Cup in the round of 16. And then those most recent A-League matches, 3-2 the Reds won here in the last meeting, and then a 4-4 clash at Cooper Stadium. Western Sydney favoured though on the win probability. And you can probably understand why, based on that unbeaten run over the first half-dozen matches. Marco Rudan, he's made a couple of changes from the side who lost against Victory. Aidan Simmons impressed off the bench last week. He comes in for Tate Russell at right back, while Valentino Yule, he makes his first start as a Wanderer after scoring on debut last weekend. Coming in for former Red Lockie Brook, Derby hero Zach Sapsford, he's back in the squad. He's on the bench, while Milos Ninkovic, he is close to a return, not in the squad today, while Daniel Margush and Gabriel Kleur remain out of favour. And Valentino Yule, what a return, a goal and an assist, but it's not just his form from last week. You can go back to his time at the Jets. He's been directly involved in 5 goals in the last 6. And he's excited to be back. It was great form considering he was without a league match since February, had played for South Sudan. Here are how the Reds line up after that 3rd defeat in 4 last week. 4 changes in total. In come Ansel and Popovic, who are back from soreness. So Barr and Warland drop out of the squad altogether. Irundakunda drops to the bench, while Alagic receives his first start of the season. Former Premier League man Ryan Tunnicliffe is in the starting 11 for just the 2nd time this season, so Isaias has to be content with dropping to the pine. Musa Toure picked up a quad injury last week. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks, while good news for Reds fans is Josh Cavallo, not in the squad tonight, but very close to a return from that Achilles injury. Speaking of involvements, Zach Clough, he has had an outstanding start to the season. 3 assists for the campaign, 4 goals as well. 2nd most assists in the league behind his teammate Ben Halloran. He'll be keen to continue his good form so far this season. Marco Rudan trying to plot his downfall tonight. He comes up against the final side he played with in his professional career, Adelaide United. Said during the week he wants the intensity from the outset from his side. Carl Viet, he also wants to see improvement. His focus this week has been on decision making in that final third as Adelaide looked for the goals after they were held scoreless for the first time this season last week. Ali Reza Fagani will be off to the Asian Cup next month. He is in charge of his 83rd A-League men's match. So the Wanderers and Reds look to rebound here tonight at CommBank Stadium. Who will be the more desperate? Very good evening to Daniel McBrain.
Good evening, Ben, and all our viewers out there. You said it, both looking to bounce back from results that weren't favourable. We said it in the pre-match, plenty of goals between these two in past encounters, so let's hope for an action-packed evening of football with plenty of goals.
the Reds, they had that stunning result here at Combank last season, 3-2 win. The man who scored a double for them that night, Ben Warland, he played last week, but he's dropped out of the squad altogether tonight, with Ansell and Popovic back at centre-back for Carl Viet's side. And the match before that was that incredible 4-4 draw in about 35 degrees at Coopers Stadium. I remember that on a Sunday arvo, Macca. So hopefully we get a little bit more of that tonight. And this is an open start as Duzel looks to thread it in front of Clough, and it rolls harmlessly in the end through to Lawrence Thomas.
Well, as you said, a few changes from both managers today. Obviously off the back of poor results last week. But Carl Viet, interestingly, naming his centre-back pairing that is tonight is his favoured combination. And last week's pair gone completely from the squad. So not happy, of course, with last week. First time last week that Adelaide were kept scoreless. They love scoring goals, don't they, this team? Going forward is not a problem.
Well, I did ask Carl Viet that during the week, as it's a free kick for Western Sydney, just around the changes in the back line with Ansell and Popovic, as Nick Ansell giving away that free kick on Antonson, and he said that Ansell had to have an injection last week, so he was out with soreness. So too Popovic, who picked up a bit of a quad niggle in the day before the game. So it wasn't due to them conceding a lot of goals in the matches before, it was down to injuries, and this is his first choice centre-back pairing. Western Sydney looking to test them out here with Milanovic. And intriguingly for Western Sydney, it's this first half which has been somewhat problematic since that 5-0 demolition against Western United in round 2. They haven't scored a first half goal since in those 5 matches.
Well, I did ask Mark Irundakunda about that last week after the game, and he said, well, it's not endemic yet, it's just 2 games. We've had some good discussions as a group this week, and he said they've freshened them up, so he's expecting a much improved first half, which he did say. He thinks that's where they lost the game last week, in the first half. We did hear him say for the past 2 weeks the resilience in the second half, they've fought back, but he wants to see a much improved first 45.
Hendricks almost creating a half chance, as Paredes has got a fair piece of Alagic's shirt, but the referee playing advantage for Kito. Here's Jovanovic. Duzel. And Halloran has it pinched off him by Valentino Ewell. You just think he must have been doing so much work away from the pitch after not playing a league match since February. He was with Aluminium Iraq in Iran. Then he was loaned out to Salal in Qatar, but then wasn't played when he did return to his parent club, and has been able to get a switch away due to some issues off the field regarding payment.
Well, I think it'll be unlikely to see a full 90 minutes, but obviously has shown enough for Marco Rodan in training and with his performance last week, which was sensational off the bench. Most likely see a 60-minute kind of a game today. Valentino Ewell. Time will tell. There's a big difference from training and off the pitch to match fitness.
Ewell with a couple of step overs, gets the cross in. So dangerous. Ovalina's going to have to be very aware of his fleet-footed nature. Marcelo, the captain, looking for Milanovic, and Popovic, as he popped a little bit of a knock. Referee is going to award the free kick against Western Sydney midfielder.
No, still a corner. I think he said it was an accidental collision of heads. Still given the corner, as you can see there.
Yeah, fair enough. I was just unsure. Milanovic seemed to be unhappy with the decision, but maybe he was a bit confused as well. And in the end, he'll be pleased with this decision for a Wanderers corner. Rolante going down. It was Adelaide who had 10 corners last week in that first half against Brisbane. Couldn't break through. Here's the first of tonight for Western Sydney. floated back post. Halloran went down in the box. No whistle from the referee, and in it comes via Simmons. Beadling was up, and almost a chance for Antonsen, who's been in wonderful form lately. He's scored 3 in his last 2. Couldn't get that on target to trouble Gauci.
Well, it's been very physical in the box already, hasn't it, in the opening minutes? A few aerial duels. Western Sydney not afraid to put the ball in the box.
Good start from the home team on the front foot here. Hayden Simmons, no start of the season for him after overcoming that hamstring issue, which kept him out for the first part of the campaign. Marcelo searching for the run of Milanovic, but it's easy pickings for Gauci. The 32nd meeting of these two sides. Adelaide holding a slender head-to-head advantage, 10-9, but 12 draws in that. And it's been a similar head-to-head between these two coaches in Viet and Rudan, both with 1 win each over each other, but 4 draws in their other clashes as Ewell can't get the delivery past Bovalina. Clisby hooking it up to Antonsen, gets it back towards the middle, but Ansell a crucial toe in to get it out of danger. But at the moment, they just can't get their foot on the ball, the Reds, and now there's another corner on the way.
Well, Marco Rudan asked for a better start. These players have duly obliged. Plenty of pressure on this Adelaide defence. Big man Marcelo comes forward. He's such a dangerous threat on these set pieces.
And Gauci couches the corner, and he's looking for the quick release, but he's not able to get it. Really good pressure across the park from Western Sydney. Clough tries to roll it forward. Also terrific to note today that Western Sydney Wanderers donated a matchday experience to the 2UE Vinnies telethon today. So terrific work from Western Sydney, doing wonderful work on and off the pitch, and hopefully the fans that are part of that are enjoying the evening at the Isuzu Ute A-League tonight. As we touched on, it is one of those fixtures you love to head along and watch. Plenty of entertainment when the Reds have faced Western Sydney of late, as Adelaide looking to break through Allegich. But the hustle from Western Sydney has been really impressive. And it's not a cool day by any stretch in Sydney. In the high 20s, high humidity. There's still tough conditions despite the sun setting. Duzel tried to ride the challenge of Ewell. He's been impressive to start, Valentino. And now Hendricks just measured the pass to perfection. And Torres was in position, so too was Nick Ansell.
Well, that was brilliant play from Western Sydney. Started with Valentino Ewell there. Look at him, wins the ball, drops it off, and look at this pass. Forward run, and it just dissects the defence there. Block was needed because there was 2 willing runners in Milanovic and Antonsen in the middle.
Another corner for Western Sydney. 4-0. Can they make something happen here off the boot of Hendricks? It's dipping towards Marcelo and floating onto the roof of the goal. He's already scored once this season from that kind of situation.
Well, he's such a threat, isn't he? He's so strong, big. He seems to win so many headers in that area, and I think probably himself would think he probably could deliver a few more goals from those set pieces. He does find the space. He does out-muscle his opponents. We've seen him win headers in that area quite a lot from corners.
Yeah, I heard you mention that last week, Macca, against Melbourne Victory. He scored 2 goals in 30 Adelaide men's matches. That's almost Nigel Bogart areas, isn't it? Sorry, Bogues. What was it, about 6 in 200 odd?
No, I just know that Bogues has got more red cards than he can play in the history of football.
Well, Marcelo got a couple last year, and he got one in this fixture, so that's something that Marco Redan has spoken about. Him, it's a different... Oh, this is a turnover! A disaster for Western Sydney! Jovanovic can't get it in the goal, though. Neither could Zach Clough. And after dominating the opening 12 minutes, they almost had their pants pulled down.
Well, Lawrence Thomas saved the blushes there, didn't he? As they gave that ball away, it looked for all money. It was going to end up nestled in the back of the net. He redeemed. Look here, they look to play out. There's white shirts everywhere. He just takes too long, doesn't he? He dallies. And he gets back and redeems himself, and then the finish there is not good enough. But you can't dally on the ball like that. There's good pressure from Adelaide. And all the good work that's been done in the first 12 minutes had almost been undone by a silly error.
Now Joe Gauci just dicing with some pressure here. Ansell's done well, hasn't he? Milanovic thought he had his man. Now Clough. They're ravenous tonight, Western Sydney. Players coming from everywhere in red and black.
Look, no love lost after the action we saw between these two last year.
Well, the only difference is Marcelo, the man he got in the headlock to get sent off, was Lockie Bart, who's not involved tonight. And the man who pulled back Irundakunda to start a bit of push and shove, I'm sure he wasn't intending to do that, is Morgan Schneiderlin, who's no longer part of these two sides. So I would assume maybe the spark is not quite there, but you never know. Players remember those things, even if they weren't directly involved, as Halloran, Duzell, flipping this one into the path of Bovalina. And Beadling got across, and just been winded, has he?
It looked like to me he grabbed at his right groin. Yep.
Oh.
That's not good.
They don't need another injury to a centre-back, Western Sydney. Tom Beadling. Wow. Well, gives us a chance to head downstairs to Tristan McManus. Tristan, what have you seen?
It's been a great start, guys. We've asked for a better start from Wanderers. I don't know how long you keep asking for that, you know, but it's definitely been a great start, and you see what Adelaide have in them as well. It just takes one moment. I'm going to get a word on Beadling now in a second to find out just what's happened here. But it's been an exciting start. Like I said, Valentino, he kept that close to his chest, didn't we? I didn't think we'd see him for a couple of weeks. Certainly not starting games, but his defensive work has been great so far. There's an excitement in the air here tonight from both teams. Long may it continue.
I hope you've got your Christmas decorations on, Tristan.
Just the shiny jocks, mate.
So Tom Beadling, don't know how to come back from that. Tom Beadling just getting strapped up. I was going to mention Alex Bonneting, who has come back from that foot injury, the broken foot. He had keyhole surgery and it all went well. Medical staff at Western Sydney did an outstanding job because there was talk he was going to be out for a lot longer, but he's not on the bench tonight, so he couldn't come on to replace Beadling if there is an injury. And it looked as though they were readying either Sapsford or Priestman there on the sideline, so maybe Hendricks was going to drop back.
Yeah, we've seen Hendricks drop in there a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago. An exceptional job. I'm sure if he had the choice, Marco Redan would prefer to leave him in that midfield space. And for the meantime, Beadling's back out. He doesn't look like he's moving too freely.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Tom Beadling. He's been terrific for Western Sydney. He just is one of those classic Western Sydney players, isn't he? Just rolls up the sleeves and gets involved in all the dirty work, and it would be a huge loss. He's got a great combination with Marcelo. And he is done. There is surely no doubt about this, that Tom Beadling's going to be forced off. He can barely run.
Well, I'm not too sure if it's just waiting for... Well, there we go. I was going to say waiting for the sub to get warm up. Wouldn't have been expecting to go on so early. But you could see he couldn't move. And that's another one of those injuries that not much you can really do about it. He's just seemed to catch the ground and just felt it.
So the casualty ward for Wanderers defenders, as I said, Bonatic back from that broken foot, but Anthony Pantazopoulos, he's just come back to training from a hamstring injury, so he's on the way back as well. So Priestman gets his chance, and you would expect, as we just touched on, it would likely mean that Hendricks is going to have to drop back into centre-back, which is a big loss for them in midfield. So we'll just see how it all shakes down here for Western Sydney. Beadling, you feel for him so much.
Yeah, you see there Hendricks has dropped in. Oscar Priestman goes into midfield. He already has himself a couple of assists for this season.
Another former Sky Blue in the red and black this season, along with Zach Sapsford. Actually coming across. This ball squeezes through to Lawrence Thomas. Well, beware the wounded side. Last week Adelaide had Brisbane with a couple of injuries in that first half. They weren't able to take advantage. They must do so here, but they've given away a free kick.
Well, that's another easy for Ghana there, just looking to see if there was an advantage as the ball was played. You see here Milanovic playing through. Tunnicliffe wasn't letting him go without a challenge, wasn't he? Throwing himself in.
Marcelo's header picked off by Tunnicliffe and Bovalina. The Englishman's second start of the season after he was pulled at half-time in that 5-1 defeat to Sydney at home back in round 4. That's just an aimless ball in the end, handing back possession to Western Sydney. Popovich. Calvier needs to just have a swig of water and get himself a little more calm, I think.
Well, Calvier, he had spoke before the game, didn't he, about having a little bit more steel with Tunnicliffe and Alagic.
Parias. Make it sit there on the left boot.
That's what you want from your winger. That ball facing forward and run straight at your defender. Comes inside. He had a look around, didn't he? Look for support and realised, well, not much happening there. I'll have a try myself.
Now it's Adelaide enticing with this pressure from Western Sydney. And they've turned it over. Well, Ali Reza Fagani, not one to overblow his whistle. He gives away a free kick here to Adelaide for the challenge from Simmons.
Well, okay. I guess in this, you can see he's lunging. I think he got the ball, but maybe the trailing leg took Clough out as well.
Pressure again on Adelaide. They're just struggling to get out of their own half at the moment as Milanovic now Antonsen straight at Gauci. But there's some serious problems brewing here for Adelaide as they play out from the back. We saw this earlier in the season against Sydney. And it's occurring here against Western Sydney.
Well, sometimes when the press is very organised and well structured.
Ovalena hasn't earned a corner. May have come off Ewell there last, but referee saying just the goal kick.
See, Western Sydney the same, looking to play out through under heavy pressure from Adelaide. Both teams willing to play, take the risk, draw the press out and play in behind. It does open up big spaces in that midfield area if you can get past that first initial press.
Well, let's head back down to Tristan, who's got an injury update on Tom Beadling. What's the latest, Tristan?
Yeah, it's what we expected there. There was a groin strain as he was stretching. Priestman was right off the bench ready to go. Then they thought they'd give him a minute or two, but he just can't continue. It's interesting because when this happened to Marcelo before, I mean, Roods was asked about it, and he said that Jorrett had mentioned to him playing as a stopper for 10 or 20 games in the top division, so he always had that in the back of his mind. So it may not be as bad as it is that Tom Beadling had to go off, and for Wanderers, having Jorrett to step back in there might not be the worst thing.
Thanks, Tristan. And here is Hendricks driving forward, floating it to the back post. Milanovic couldn't get on the end of it. Good strength from Popovic. Now Parias off the post and in, and it's Dylan Parias who opens the scoring for Western Sydney. What an inventive finish that was, and for the first time in 5 matches the Wanderers have scored a first half goal.
Well, they've been pretty good for this first 23 minutes, Western Sydney. We were just talking about Jorrett Hendricks moving back into the centre-back position. On the Harvey Norman replay, we see it's him moving up the field in an advanced position, putting the ball in, and as it falls back down to Dylan Parias, he just turns and just almost flicks his foot at it here on the turn. Nice little first touch, and you see it's just a little dink over the top. Joe Gauci's just caught in no man's land. It's a wonderful finish in off the post. And it's great improvisation from Dylan Parias. He sends the Western Sydney Wanderers ahead with a lovely little dink.
First goal in Wanderers colours for Dylan Parias after the off-season move from Western United. Terrific player. So much speed down that right edge, and he's really working well in the red and black of Western Sydney Wanderers.
Well, we were just speaking about Jorrett Hendricks, weren't we? About can play at centre-back. Well, you give him the time, he'll drive forward. Such a good player on the ball. It was his initial ball in that caused all the problems. He may well stay at centre-back if he's going to maraud forward and create things from there.
Well, here we go. An early goal. This is shaping up nicely. Ryan Kiddo, who did score against Western Sydney last season, couldn't keep that one down.
Here's another look. See the first touch, just gets it. It looks like it's just getting away from him, and he just improvises well. A little dink over the top, and there's nothing Joe Gauci can do, and celebrations with the crowd. Nice moment.
I think if you look at his record, Macca, he's now played 104 matches, 11 goals. I think maybe that's the one thing he's been missing, is just that finishing ability, because he's got so much pace. It's just that final product, isn't it?
Yeah, and I would say that's probably his one downfall, is he needs more goals, a little bit more quality in that final third, but it's there. It shows that he does have it.
the Ollie Roos side that went to the Tokyo Olympics. You don't become part of that side if you're not a great player. And he's certainly making good on it this season. 4th start in 7 for him. Ivanovic linked with his captain. I was touching on Ivanovic's form lately. He's come in the last 4 matches now, starting in place of Ibasuki. I asked Carl Viet the reason behind that. He said he wants to give Luka Jovanovic a chance to lead the line, a young player given that opportunity, but also in some matches where he does want more of a press, he believes Jovanovic has more of an advantage in that area, which is clear.
Well, yeah, he's definitely more mobile than Hiroshi Ibasuki, isn't he? His only way to get experience into young players, and that's by playing them. You know that Carl Viet has no problem with that.
That's been a formula which has worked so well for Adelaide United and Carl Viet. Probably is evident by this stat that they're staring down the barrel. If they lose tonight, 3 straight defeats. That hasn't happened in more than 2 years, almost 3. So while some people say young players inconsistent, they've been consistent enough to keep racking up those wins, making finals. But tonight, this is a big test for them against a Western Sydney side desperate to bounce back from their first defeat. Now they're behind 1-0. How can they respond? Simmons. Priestman, I should say Milanovic, looking to angle the pass. Hendricks again driving into midfield. Jorrit Hendricks, shape to shoot. Clisby clipping. Here's more problems for Adelaide United as Milanovic got up for the header.
Well, there we see again Jorrit Hendricks. Usually a centre-back might take a touch or two and look to pass, but he's so natural in that position. If they're not going to press him, he's going to drive, and he's going to cause overloads in that area. They could use that to their advantage.
Priestman picks it off, finds Antonsen, and here's Valentino Ewell. Open pastures ahead of him. The delivery decent enough. Perez is able to get it back, but then Milanovic couldn't bring it down. Speaking of players in form, hasn't he been wonderful to watch this season? Nick Milanovic. 3 goals for him to start the campaign, but just his work rate, it's feeling like a breakout season for him after the move midway through last season from Western United.
Yeah, seems to be playing with confidence as well. Very much a live wire. Stick in on the ball, run with the ball. Contributed with goals as well. Continues in this game. It's a bright future for the young man ahead.
Marcelo driving it towards Milanovic. Now Kizzo flips it up the line, but only as far as his opposite captain. And with Marcelo having some injury issues of his own with that Achilles/calf, a bit of tightness there, it is good for Western Sydney to have another additional replacement there in Hendricks. And here they come through Perez. Early ball. Gobbled up in the end by Gauci. But he's making good headway down that right. Dylan Perez to start this match.
It's a sign of the, let's say, the dominance that Western Sydney have had and their willingness to get balls in the box. It's 11 crosses to 1 at the moment. 11 for Western Sydney, just the 1 for Adelaide. Adelaide, we know, are a team who love to get crosses in the box as well.
This has where we put the knife into XGs at Macca. XG doesn't tell you anything about crossing, does it? Doesn't tell you anything about that. So you put in a few good crosses, they don't get on the end of them. Doesn't count as XG. Well, there it is. Western Sydney just shading it, but based on what you're saying, Macca, probably should be a bit more. Here's a set piece for Adelaide. Well defended in the end by Western Sydney, but Adelaide would have been hoping for a bit more quality. Parias driving forward. He's got Ewell in the middle. Parias doesn't use the speedy winger on the other side. Little apology there, but he's confident at the moment after scoring the opening goal.
Well, I think he really should have got his head up here. Look at Valentino Ewell. He's getting there. Maybe the defenders did just enough to stop the square pass, but he's got his head up there. You can see, yeah, I probably paid him. It's probably a little bit harsh on him there. The defence did well to get across and show him to the right. And why not? He's just dinked one over the keeper. Got his first goal for the club. Why not have a strike? But that man there was going like a whippet down the middle, wasn't he, trying to get up and assist?
Big and Gould. How does he compare to the player that you had at Newcastle Jets, Macca, when you were assistant coach under Craig Deans for that season, where he was really a bright spot for Newcastle?
Yeah, he was. He's got an insatiable desire to improve, I can tell you that. I'll let this unfold here.
Milanovic. Out by Kitto. Taking on Clough, looking to use his strength. Just seems to be all on their terms at the moment, Western Sydney. Adelaide just hoping for their moment. And they withstand this pressure from Western Sydney that just keeps coming. Clearsby. Again, comfortable for Gauci. Now the Reds through Bobolina. Just the energy again there on show. That time from Brillante as Hendricks has to be sharp. Marcelo taking his time to pick the pass, and the Reds have done well there. Clough looking for the run of Halloran. Maybe just a little opening here. A bit of defensive structure from Carviet's side ensured there was no way through for Western Sydney. Now they get their chance. Popovic. Popovic is overhitting the pass. Opportunities have been so few and far between. Is there a solution that you can spot, Macca, for this Adelaide start to the game? It's not as though they've been bad. I think Western Sydney have just turned up the heat.
Yeah, I think Western Sydney have done a little bit of soul searching during the week about their poor starts over the last 2 weeks. And they've laid down a marker, they've moved the ball well, they've pressed high as well. And when they've had the opportunity to get balls into the box, they've done it, and they've done it early.
Clearsby. And Yule, Clisby continuing his run. Popovich diving in. Valentino, as he said, too much here to the referee. Now it's Jack Clisby. No, it is Valentino. He's just saying, yep, remember me. Don't say anything you wouldn't say in front of your parents.
It was a good move again. Probably just took a little bit too much time, and it's wonderful timing from Popovich to win the challenge.
Galante and Clisby. Priestman and Antonsen. Another corner for Western Sydney. I think the comment was during the week from the Western Sydney staff to the players, we work hard all week so you can put in everything for 90 minutes. Well, they certainly heeded that. I would love another goal though. Marcelo, and Gauci poured it away. There he was again, Macca.
Yeah, he's such a threat, isn't he? On this occasion, it's a great header. Look at him, he uses his teammate as a shield. He's strong, gets up. Probably not enough pressure from the defenders Carl Viet would like, but a good save from Gauci down to his right.
Marcelo again the target.
Well, someone in that Adelaide defence has to block or run or get their body there. Because if you keep giving him headers in the box, eventually one's going to come.
Valentino, you'll just caught offside. So here we go. 7.5 minutes, just under that. Regulation time remaining in this first half. Adelaide all of a sudden, I'm not going to call it a goal drought, but for a side that scored so readily before, they haven't scored now in almost a game and a half, which is a long time for a side as prolific as they are. Now Parias burning away again. He's been one of the strongest points from this Wanderers first half, and there's been a lot of them. Ovalina looks up, measures the pass nicely to Jovanovic and Hendricks. He had to time that challenge to perfection. In the end, it didn't matter because Jovanovic was offside, but he wasn't to know that.
It was tight. I think it just was. And just when you thought Jovanovic had got away, look at Hendricks there. He just slips on the inside, and it's well-timed tackle.
That potentially the blueprint for Adelaide, looking to exploit the pace up against Marcelo and Hendricks, the two experienced centre-backs. Hendricks not that old, he's 28, Marcelo.
Yeah, look, I think you've got to mix it up. Western Sydney are very good at it. They can play through the midfield if they have to. They will play around the outside, as we see here, but they also mix it up every now and then. They have willing runners that will run in behind. Yule, Milanovic, and from these positions here, you'll see sometimes the ball goes wide like that, and other times it gets played straight in behind. It mixes it up. It makes it problematic for the defenders. They don't want to fully commit because they're not sure if a ball is going to be played in behind. So you always need someone up the top who's going to make it an offer to go in behind, to make the defenders think we may have to drop, which then might open spaces in the midfield for your midfielders.
That's well played. Beautifully done by Alagic, just trampolining it off to Clough. He's cutting in and driving it at goal. Western Sydney getting bodies in the way. Milanovic looking up, wanted to use the speed of Yule and got the ball there. Now Bovalina, he stood him up, Valentino Yule. He shoulders him away, and then the cross just wasn't quite there. And then a high boot. Alireza Vigani hasn't even played advantage, may not have spotted it on the blind side there. Adelaide has brushed it off. Here he is. Giselle and Halloran taking on Jack Clisby, who wins out. Put under enough pressure by Popovic to present this opportunity for Adelaide. Alagic tracking it down. Clough chiming in again. Good pressure there was from Priestman. Tunnicliffe, Halloran, Kitto, Clough. Really good work in tight areas there from the Reds, but Western Sydney able to thwart them. But it will give the Reds fans plenty of hope. That previous attack, not that moment there, because Western Sydney away again. Antonsen giving chase, and Popovic had him covered with speed, and Antonsen's kept it in miraculously. That's a great effort from the tall striker. Duzel and Halloran returning it to the midfielder, and Duzel is able to push it forward. Jovanovic, is he onside? The flag is down for the moment, and he tried to open up the angle. Rolante and Marcelo across. The flag does come up. Macca, you had the flag up in the commentary box.
Yeah, you can see he just went a little too early. So look at the experience for Marcelo there. He just steps up at the right time. That was enough. This is all elementary, but it's wonderful experience from Marcelo. An inexperienced defender there would have tried to track the run and kept him onside, but he just saw as the pass was about to be made, I'll just take a step forward, showing all his years of experience.
Pass picked off by the Reds, so just under a couple of minutes. This will help them. Well, it would be huge for the visitors if they could snatch something before half-time after the first half they've endured here. They have a few more openings in the second. You just wonder the intensity, the pressure. Can Western Sydney keep it up in the second half?
Well, we're seeing more of a block from both of them, aren't they? From both teams now, rather than that high press. You see a mid-block from Western Sydney. Not afraid to sit deep in that back third as well and just block the space.
Popovic and Clough. He's made things happen for the Reds this season, Zach Clough, but not on that occasion. He did score the only goal for Adelaide in that 5-1 Australia Cup defeat in the winter months. You just wonder what kind of psychological effect that can have as well. 5-1 win. Scored a couple in that particular match. Borello with a double, so too Ninkovic. Priestman. Valentino Ewell. Asking the defenders some serious questions in this first half, Valentino. So we've got a couple of minutes of additional time on the way here. Adelaide with Western Sydney pressing forward. Can they move it quickly? Duzel back to Gauci. Way to does he look? Short. Tunnicliffe. Space opens up in midfield here for Alagic. Driving forward and linking with Kiddo. Clough. Popovic. Giselle trying to keep it moving to Bobolina, and now Hendricks. He's getting a nosebleed here, rushing up from centre back to try and create an opportunity. He's done enough to win his side a throw.
He looked a little displeased with his teammates there, didn't he? So give me something, make a run. Everyone was running away from him.
He's thinking, I've done all this hard work. But he's looked very assured. When you've played as many years in Europe as he has, especially in the centre-back role, you can understand why. So calm and composed. But I'm sure Marco Rudan would be hoping he could use that creativity as the season progresses back in midfield. When he gets all those defenders fully fit. We'll wait and see how long Beadling's out for. If you missed it, you just joined us. Tom Beadling forced off with a groin injury earlier in the match, so Jorrit Hendricks into the back line, and Priestman has come into midfield. And that is half-time. So Western Sydney Wanderers, for the first time in 5 matches, are going to go to the sheds ahead thanks to Dylan Parias, his first goal for Western Sydney Wanderers. Jorrit Hendricks critical in the setup of that goal. But it's the former Western United man who has put the home side ahead. Adelaide have had their opportunities. But at half-time, Western Sydney Wanderers 1, Adelaide United 0.
Yeah, he really has. It was funny. It took him to move to centre back before he started playing as an 8. As soon as he went to centre back, he went and he pushed and he pinged that ball in where the goal came from, and then he broke forward again just moments later as well. He's been great since he's come back there. He's been so composed. He's almost playing like a central midfielder in that, and that he's given space all the time. He wants the ball. He's taking people away from Marcelo, so Marcelo's pinging balls out wide here. I think he's been great. He's been playing the game at his own pace. He's so composed. He's looking around them all the time. You have to feel bad for Beadling because he had to bide his time last season between Marcelo and Murchela back there, and having such a strong partnership. Beadling's come in. He's played well, and unfortunately this injury's taken him out. But yeah, you can see the class that Hendricks had. Yeah, he got caught upfield a little bit, but it was offside anyway because that's the way the partnership's working at the back. But as you said, they're 1-0 up now. They needed a fast start. They've got the goal, but they need to put this to bed. I mean, Marcelo, he's winning absolutely everything, but it counts for nothing unless the ball's going in the back of the net. So Adelaide are far from out of this game. I'm interested to see how the second half goes. Back to you guys. It's going to be a good game, though. I'm still on for it. Still on for it.
Craig Goodwin delivers the free kick in. It's a good ball, and it's the opening goal from the towering Harry Suter. Miller is there with Metcalf. He dinks the ball back in. Great header. Mitch Duke. What a story. Here's Miller again. The cross in. McLaren this time. Well, what a moment for Jamie McLaren. A hat-trick in green and gold.
Welcome back to CommBank Stadium. It's that time of year. Santa Claus is in the house. And he's bringing some gifts for Western Sydney Wanderers in the form of a first half goal. Dylan Parias putting the home side ahead. And the home fans absolutely loving the scoreline at the moment, but they want their side to continue to go on with the business against an Adelaide side who are staring down the barrel of 3 straight defeats for the first time in almost 3 years. And Carl Veert has pushed the button. He's pushed the Irundakunda button. He's coming onto the field in the second half. It was a really tough outing for him last week against Brisbane. He's had a big week on the pitch and looking forward to making an impact. What about Valentino Yule? It is the Yuletide, Macca. It is Valentino Yule time of year as well. He's having a special start to life at Western Sydney. What can Irundakunda bring to the party tonight at CommBank Stadium? Remember last time he did bring some fireworks, caused Marcelo to be sent off. We have a bit more tension in this second half at CommBank Stadium, and some more goals as well. Ali Reza Fagani looks at the watch, and we're ready to go in the second half. Adelaide looking to bounce back, looking to get themselves back on the score sheet for the first time in a little while. And Irundakunda, his first involvement is to give away a free kick.
Well, Carl Veert needing an injection. He knows how much that young man can give. He said half time is ready enough.
Well, let's hear the thoughts at halftime of the Adelaide United staff. Mark Milligan is downstairs with Tristan McManus.
Millsy, huge half ahead. You're 1 goal behind, but far from out of this game. What needs to change in the second half?
You know, look, I think we're looking for better intent today, a little bit better intensity. We tweaked a few little things tactically at half-time. Look, not much needs to change. I think if we execute now these little tactical changes and we're a little tidier in that sort of mid-front third, we'll create some opportunities.
See Nesteri on the pitch now, big half from him?
Yeah, massive. Nesta needs a big half. We need a big half from him.
Best of luck. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks to Tristan, thanks to Mark Milligan, assistant coach at Adelaide United. So what can Irundakunda bring in this second half? We've already seen what he can do so far this season from the set piece. What a goal that was against Melbourne City. Giselle, it's pinched off him by Brillante, but will be a Reds throw. So Adelaide's issue in the first half was really trying to control possession inside Western Sydney's half. They just struggled to get the ball down that end of the park. And they changed that in the second 45. The man replaced by Irundakunda, did look a little leggy back into the first half. He has only played now 2 matches this season. Just getting that match fitness back at this level.
Well, Carl Veert said the introduction of Aligic gave him a little bit more steel in there to win the ball and dominate that area, but I don't think it really paid off in that 45 minutes. Western Sydney really with a dominant force. So he's made the change.
Ansell swings it across to Halloran. Popovic pokes the pass forward. Ivanovic. Duzel trying to thread it wide to Halloran, and Yule find safety in the sideline.
Well, Duzel was hoping for a pass a little more underweighted. He was setting himself for a first-time strike, and it was just a little too quick. Came on him a little too quickly.
would you believe, such as the prolific nature of Adelaide's scoring, Giselle just one of 3 Reds players in the squad tonight, an outfield player that hasn't scored in the A-League, along with Alagic, who's now on the bench, and also Johnny Yull, who we'll probably expect to see a little later. Good movement from Jovanovic, and Irundakunda was waiting there just in case it slipped through. Head down from Redwig Steve, and I don't think you have to be a lip reader to work out what he said there.
It was nice footwork from Jovanovic down the right-hand side. Cross just a little too close. You can see there, really needs someone across the front post if it's going to be that close to the keeper.
Still plenty of options on the bench as well for Adelaide, the likes of Bernardo, Yull, as I said, Ibasuki, who scored 3 in his last 2 in the A-League against Western Sydney. Hiroshi watching on from the bench. Former La Liga man, the one-time La Liga player.
Well, there's no shortage of attacking outlets, is there? Albeit it's not hitting the panic buttons just yet, I'm sure. You heard Mark Milligan saying that. I don't think that there's too much that needs to be done. They just need to sharpen up a little bit.
Paris, the goal scorer, coming from out of the field of play, back inside, rolling it just behind Valentino Yule. If he had have slowed his run, it may have just turned out perfectly. Clisby flipping it in. Nick Popovic initially, and here goes Tunnicliffe. Good release for Jovanovic, but Marcelo gets across just to protect the Western Sydney backline. Duzel. Irundakunda. Coming in and just nicking the ball off him. And back to his keeper. Here's Priestman. Loves firing off a shot, just didn't get that opening he was after. Irundakunda.
Well, he had plenty of defenders in front of him, didn't they? 2 and 3 getting across to close him down. Know the danger, but just back at the other end, that was a really wonderful opportunity for Western Sydney. Farias with the cross. It was a poor cross, and he had 2 players centrally. And they're the kind of moments that Marco Redan will be saying to his players, you have to execute them. We have to kill them off.
Simmons wins it back for Western Sydney. Turn from Milanovic, dove in on Popovic, rode the challenge of Priestman. Now Clough. Irundakunda free on the left, and he opts for the 17-year-old. Still going Irundakunda, almost just sat up for Clough. Better start to the second half, Macca, from Adelaide.
Yeah, it's been a bit better, hasn't it? Without really having anything too much of note.
It probably explains how tough the first half was for him, that we are posing that. They were really hemmed in. Valentino Yule sending Bovalina left and right. We've seen him score from that kind of angle before, but couldn't get it on target to trouble Gauci.
It's going to take something exceptional to beat Joe Gauci from there.
He can do unusual things, can't he, Valentino? And he's still going really well, considering that lack of consistent match time. As I mentioned, no league action since February, but had been playing for the South Sudan national side. He's played 11 matches for them, a couple of goals for him, and you can see Adelaide, their preferred side is Ben Halloran on the right, but with Irundakunda on the the left in the second, you probably would be thinking they will use that side a little more often. Clough clipping it into space. Marcelo's header only as far as Irundakunda. Has Kiddo on his left. Irundakunda goes himself, wins a corner here for the Reds. They get something here.
It was a good run here. Josh Bellante does very well. He was adamant it came off the foot of Irundakunda, but I'm not sure if that's right. Lisa Pagani wasn't having any of it.
And Clough put it on a dime here. It's deep. It was decent. Bovalina just couldn't get over it. Rose well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He got up well. Just got caught under the ball a little bit. Was unable to direct it downward. See here, he just goes in at that back post. And look at the leap. He just found himself just a little under the ball. Couldn't quite get the downward trajectory. A little warning sign for Western Sydney.
Just a little sloppy there from Western Sydney. Ansell finding Gauci. Western Sydney, they've got a big trip across the ditch to Wellington. Weekend before Christmas. Adelaide hosting Newcastle at home on Friday. Simmons. Across to Ewell. Bovalina turned left and right, but Ewell couldn't get it on target.
Well, that's what we're used to seeing, isn't it, from Valentino Ewell. It's a wonderful crossfield ball there. When he's got space in front of him, first touch, you know his first thought is to try and get it inside on that favoured right foot. He's not getting quite the connection he would have liked there. I'm sure those legs are starting to feel a little fatigued as well.
And he's won it back here from Bovalina. Can he find the cross? Or he may just go himself. Blocked by Bovalina. Spills for Duzel. And he's in a real tussle and he wins the free kick. Reyes is praying for the whistle not to blow.
And this was good for Valentino. He sells the dummy there. And we've seen him, as you've said before, Ben, we've seen him score from that angle. Defenders did enough to get the block in there. But he's still causing problems, isn't he?
He's showing great legs, almost up to the hour mark. Halloran. 2 men across, able to get the pass up and over the top, but Western Sydney dealing with everything Adelaide have thrown at them thus far, and the pressure there from Antonsen was excellent. Again, he dives in. Ansell with some work to do. G did well, Nick Ansell, because Antonsen was hunting him.
That's what you want, isn't it? Lead from the front, press from the front. Don't give an inch.
And it's that kind of attitude when you see your imports doing that kind of thing. Just really inspires the rest of the team. And you just think Western Sydney this year, they've decided just to go with the 3 imports because they say, well, we'll give our kids a go. And they've really selected their internationals just expertly well. I think Marcelo, Hendricks, Antonsen, one for each line. Not, of course, tonight, but in the 11 they would hope to put out as Kiddo. Blocked initially by Simmons. Free kick goes Western Sydney's way, so looks as though we could be getting a change from Carl Viet, and it is going to come now. Johnny Yull coming on for Duzel, so a like-for-like switch there. Duzel starting in place of Yull the last couple of matches. Yull coming onto the field here, and the reason behind that is just because Johnny Yull hasn't played a lot of football in the last couple of seasons, dealt with a couple of stress fractures last season, so Carl Viet doesn't want to be playing him the full 90, starting him week after week after week. And he's been really impressed by Luke Duzel as well, coming across from Western United.
Well, it is a process with younger players. Game time, a step up from when you come into the first team. It can be grueling on the body. Needs to be managed and managed well. And it's something that Carl Viet has a very good knack of.
Tunnicliffe searching for Irundakunda. Kiddo get there on the second ball, but going to harmlessly cross the byline. Irundakunda just shows you his exuberance. You thought maybe it would sit up. Just noticed there Jess Van Stratton just having a chat to Aidan Simmons, who was just behind Marco Rudan there. You just wonder whether he's checking and seeing how he is feeling. Remembering his first start of the season here tonight. Yull. Still Johnny Yull. Just couldn't keep it under his control, and it just flew high and wide.
He hasn't been on the field long, but already showing a willingness.
Very creative ball player, Yull, and he's looking good. That's a decent delivery. Just behind Jovanovic, Yull getting up, throwing himself about. Clough. And it's trickling to Lawrence Thomas. Hendricks was just imploring his keeper to come out and collect. And is there a problem here for Priestman potentially?
Just wondering if it's gone to ground there. Hit the boot in the face as they hit the ground. Not too sure.
It certainly looked as though at the moment he hit the ground. Brandon Borello out for at least a couple of months with that broken foot. Huge loss for Western Sydney, but does provide opportunity for some of the young boys. And haven't they stepped up? Injured in that Sydney derby, Zach Sapsford came on, scored the winner. He's on the bench tonight, back in the squad this evening. And you can see Lockie Brook. It looks as though Eunice as well, getting ready to come onto the field. Priestman. Ewell. Valentino thwarted again by good desperation from Adelaide. And Clough couldn't control on the first time. A rare blemish from him, with his control usually so good. Parias plays the 1-2. Adelaide with some space ahead of them. Johnny Yull links with Irundakunda. Clough just couldn't find either Irundakunda or Jovanovic, who are making those runs.
Well, I think Irundakunda just stopped his run as he thought Clough was going to play it wide, so he just slowed his run. Clough tried the reverse pass. He's saying, well, just continue that run and I'll hit you. Just an inopportune moment.
Parias surging down the right. Antonsen returns it to Parias. Chasing a double. Could only hit the side netting.
Nice play again from Parias, and then Anderson looked like he was going to shape the shoot. A lovely little ball in behind, and Parias looking to dink it over the on-rushing Gauchi. Just hits the side netting.
Hayden Simmons. You can understand him cramping up. First start of the season, playing in that fullback role. He's got the pickle juice and he's just going to head for the sideline. And he missed the first half a dozen matches to start the season with that hamstring issue. So probably a good idea for Western Sydney to give him a breather. And Dylan Piraeus, he takes his leave after scoring his first goal in Western Sydney colours. So too Valentino Yule. Changes coming thick and fast. Dylan Cicluna also out there. So too is Lockie Brook, the former Adelaide United man. Former Adelaide United Youth Player of the Year. He came up through their academy, went over to Brentford, came back on loan. And here he is in the red and black of Western Sydney. Yunus is really going to bring that intensity in midfield, keep this press, just try and squeeze the life out of Adelaide, because time is running out for them to really create a chance of note. Macca, can you think of one in this match so far outside of where Western Sydney almost gifted them a goal in the first 15 minutes?
No, I can't. They need to do something to really open up this Western Sydney defence. We know how good they are.
Is this a moment for them? Jovanovic overhit. And this was the issue for them last week, trying to really create a gilt-edged chance in the final third.
But they had plenty of possession last week in the first half in particular. Plenty of ball around that area. They couldn't find the back of the net.
Is it something you can overthink?
Oh, you can at times, yeah. Not sure if it's overthinking it at the moment. I just think that Western Sydney at the moment are playing a very good game of football. Very good defensively.
Only takes one moment. Clough's ball. Nodded away by Western Sydney. And away they spring through Priestman. He saw his mate Zach Sapsford score the winner in the Sydney Derby. He'd love to get his account underway in the Isuzu Ute league. Milanovic's ball straight into the chest of Ansell. Kiddo trying to use the outside of his boot to his advantage. Western Sydney, though, have nicked it back, and off they spring here through Yunus. Marcus Yunus is winning a corner for his side. Playing his 5th match in the Isuzu Ute League. Terrific to see him back. He battled illness earlier in the year. And now, really important game changer for Marco Rudin off the bench.
Really got a great assist a couple of weeks ago, didn't he, against Brisbane? A good impact. The 3 Western Sydney players who have come off since Beedling, they all had a great hand to play in the match. 3 substitutes. Looking to continue that.
And they sink in a second and sink the boot into Adelaide here, Western Sydney, because while it's still 1, despite the lack of chances, despite the frustration for Adelaide so far, Carl Viet, you can see on the sideline, trying to get his side up, knowing they're still well and truly in this game. One of the competition heavyweights, they know here on their home turf, they'd love to get something out of this one. Yunus. front of Eunice. Tunnicliffe shoulder to shoulder. He said too much from the young Wanderer.
He just got his body across, didn't he, Tunnicliffe?
Just been one of those nights for Adelaide. Can't get it moving. Lockie Brook. Priestman looks it out to Jack Cleesby. Milanovic looking to return it to Cleesby. Hope you read the other week on keepup.com. Said he's the happiest he's been in his football career. He told Tom Smithies that, if you missed the article. Touched on how he almost gave away the game when he was 19, but his dad encouraged him to continue after a trial in Scotland, which didn't go to plan with St Johnstone. He came back, went to Inglewood in the WA State League, and he found his way into the Perth Glory setup, and he was off and racing, and here he is now, chiming in down the left, linking with Brook. Cicluna, another young man who has impressed Western Sydney with his drive and tenacity. Priestman, Brook, Milanovic. Hands up for offside, doesn't come. Brook to the byline. Just ran out of room in the end. Now Ben Halloran just cramping up. And Jovanovic is going to be replaced here by Ibasuki. And Javi Lopez is going to come on for the Reds captain, Ryan Kitto. So the experienced Spaniard, Javi Lopez, just his second appearance of the season, getting over that quad injury. Played 13 minutes last week. Former Espanyol man. Ibasuki, who scored 3 goals in his last 2 against Western Sydney in the league. Is he the man? Can they get some kind of service? Well, they're going to have to defend here because Brook bearing down on goal, and they were able to take it off his toes. Western Sydney going back to the top of the table with 3 points tonight if it remains the current scoreline. Brisbane, remember, went down tonight in the Aloisi derby. What a match it was. Don't you love being a tipster in the A-League? Eunice versus Ansell. Taking him on, cutting him down. Can Adelaide get it clear? Clough. Priestman shut it down just as things just seemed to open up for a minute for Adelaide. That's an important toe-in from Priestman.
Yeah, it's been a real cat and mouse chess game, isn't it, this second half? Neither team with a shot on target.
Here's Yull. Driving forward, Johnny Yull. Referee says he just lost his footing. And there was no one complaining. Well, the majority weren't complaining here at CommBank Stadium.
You see driving forward, Brisbane gets a toe on the ball there. The reason Gandhi says, nope, there's nothing wrong in that. And I think it's been a real highlight of both defences tonight. Opportunities have been at a real premium defensively. Done very well. It took an outrageous little Bit of improvisation from Dylan Perez to break the deadlock.
Macca, I know before the game you look at the stats between these two in the recent fixtures. 19 goals in the last 3 across all competitions, but you just had that feeling tonight with both of these two sides. Western Sydney conceding 4 last week, Adelaide leaking goals, 12 in their last 4. You just felt both coaches may have been tightening the screws defensively. And it's probably unsurprising that we've seen the match we have. As much as you don't want to say that before the game, it's certainly evident with 15 to go that Adelaide, they need to throw everything here at Western Sydney. It'll be 3 straight defeats if they can't get a win. Here is Irundakunda, and Clough finishes it off. But the flag comes off, up for offside. Well, that's how quickly things can change. Irundakunda with a snapshot. Lawrence Thomas was just caught by surprise.
Well, I think this will be closer than we first anticipated. He looked like he was going nowhere. He's just straight into an offside position. When you saw the ball bounce out and it was all white shirt, you thought, oh, well, they're miles offside. But Irundakunda again showing that when he looks like he's got nothing on, he can produce something, a little bit of turn of pace and a nice strike.
Well, you just wonder what effect that will have on Adelaide. I know it doesn't count on the scoreboard, but they got the ball in the net. Very marginal offside. Just a little bit more pep in the step here for the Reds. Last ball behind Ibasuki. Western Sydney used a lot of gas early in the game. Have they got enough left in the tank, Macca?
Well, it has been a better half for Adelaide this second half, but as we said earlier, quality chances are really at a premium. But as long as it remains 1-0, I think they're in with a real chance to steal something from this game. Almost 60% of possession in the second half. That was the first shot they've fashioned on target in this second half.
Look at that. Shows you how tight this one has been. Irundakunda. Well, Tunnicliffe's gone down in a screaming heap. And Irundakunda's driving through the middle. Space out to the right. That pass looks overhit. Bobolin has done so much work tonight. Meanwhile, Tunnicliffe. Oh, he's copped some studs.
You can see why he's
hang on a second. Fagani has come rushing over. Tunnicliffe's gone into the book for a yellow card. I think he's going to the screen. Now, Tunnicliffe has to be very careful, because if he hasn't been introduced to Alireza Fagani, if he says anything else, he might be off.
Well, I think Josh Palante might be in trouble here. When you looked back at that challenge, it didn't look nice.
Tristan McManus, I think,
yeah, have a look at this.
In the background, knows that there's a problem here for Western Sydney, and Fagani was straight over to the screen.
Oh, that's a bad one.
This is about to get a little bit dramatic here. Josh Palante. There's no doubt about it. He's sent off. Given a red card for the 4th time in his career. And it's utter dejection for the Western Sydney midfielder. He is such a pillar of strength in that part of the ground. And now they're down to 10. Marco Rudan's team for the final 11.5 minutes plus stoppage time.
Well, that doesn't get any better when you look at it again, does it? That's right on the shin/ankle. And you see the way that Tunnicliffe's foot buckled under the challenge. You can see why he wasn't happy.
So we're just going to try and confirm the other yellow card in that passage of play. We believe it was Marcelo who got the yellow after Rolante was handed the red. So confirmation there, it was Marcelo, the captain. So another Adelaide Wanderers clash, another red card, Macca. And this gets a little bit tense for the home side.
Well, it hasn't been a game with any really malice in it at all, has it? It was just a reckless challenge, really. It gives Adelaide some real hope now to apply the burners in the last 10 minutes. Try and get something out of this as we see a substitution. Antonsen to make way.
So final change here for Western Sydney. Antonsen, the striker, replaced by Tate Russell. So some reinforcement defensively. He's taking his time, the Swede. So we'll just see how things shake out here for Western Sydney. Looks as though Milanovic maybe just playing up front on his own, and he's received the ball here. That is a Christmas gift for Nick Milanovic. Now linking with Brook. Cicluna. So a match that just seemed to be drifting towards a conclusion, where Western Sydney were going to pick up the 3 points now. Gauci with a bit of a fend on Milanovic. Bit of frustration. Usually very level-headed Adelaide keeper.
Well, they've still got to get through this game, but Marco Redan is now going to be without Josh Belante next week against Wellington Phoenix. And potentially Beedling as well with his injury.
Ibasuki, and he goes in the box. Nothing in it. And that bump with Hendricks. Irundakunda steps on the ball, much to the delight of the Western Sydney faithful. And now Brook taking on Bobolina. He looks like he's out of gas. There's Giuseppe. He's done a lot of work tonight. Now Javi Lopez coming off the bench, delivering towards Irundakunda. Every interception celebrated by Western Sydney fans here tonight. Russell linking with Yunus. They're still showing plenty of endeavour, Western Sydney. It's a credit to them. Down to 10 men.
Well, that can happen at times, can't it? You see the red card and it galvanises the squad. Like I say, the game seemed to just be eking away to a quiet ending.
Frustrated Josh Brillante in the dressing rooms, joined by Antonsen. Look at this. Doreen Hendricks has that steely determination. And Alireza Fagani just ensuring there's not any time wasting going on here for Western Sydney. Look at that. That was almost Stephen Taylor-like. Remember when he used to get pumped up with the defensive movement? That inspires kids to be defenders, doesn't it, Mac?
It does. It doesn't look out of place back there, does he? Jared Hendricks.
He's done well to recover from that challenge from Brillante. A really nasty one on the ankle. And they fashion something, Adelaide. They got Isuzu, hit the post off the bench last week. Irundakunda's delivery. Toe in, gets it away to Eunice. And the whistle comes the way of Western Sydney. And here comes another change, this time for the Reds. Isaias coming on. Very quick substitution. Nick Ansell comes off. So it looks as though it will be the Spaniard to play alongside Popovic in the centre of defence. Anything more in that change, Macca, that you can see with Isaias coming on for Ansell?
I don't think he's injured, if that's what you're asking me. I couldn't see anything.
Well, I just thought a bit of an interesting one. Down 1-0 defensive change.
Yeah. Unless that they're just going to go maybe to a back three, but he's slipped in straight at the back, hasn't he?
Thought opportunity potentially for a back three. You could push him into midfield, but definitely not likely at the moment. Certainly having a chat to the assistant, getting himself involved early on. Here's a throw for Adelaide.
Well, maybe when they have the ball, he might step in, but he's the deepest player on the field at the moment.
Well, Adelaide fans watching back home in the city of Churches, it's been one of those nights for your side. Maybe, just maybe, there's something special here at the back end. Irundakunda towards Isuzu, it's Hendricks again.
He causes problems, doesn't he? So quick off the mark, change of direction, the deception, the power. I just feel like he's going to create something.
Zach Clough has the target of Isuzu. Goes towards Tunnicliffe. He'll get another chance to recalibrate and go again here. He's like a man possessed tonight, but he's like that every week, Hendricks. Isuzu. Just letting the referee know that he's getting a bit of treatment in the box. This time Lopez is up. Spills away towards Clough. Back in. Tunnicliffe with the flick on. Almost created something. And Lawrence Thomas in the end calmly with the ball in his arms.
Oh, it was cheeky, wasn't it? And it was Jack Clisby with the miscue.
Heart in mouth moment. Eunice has been good. And that real drive down the right for Western Sydney. Priestman spies Clisby. Not going to beat Irundakunda for pace. Go, Paramount Plus player index. It's Priestman who leads the way. Remembering he came on early in the first half with the injured Tom Beadling. Joe Gauci, number 2, hasn't had a whole lot of work to do. Couldn't do much about the goal. But in terms of saves, both keepers have really been troubled tonight.
I can remember one, Gauci down to his right from Marcelo.
Irundakunda looked to come off Hendricks. Another corner.
The pressure's mounting, isn't it? That man is being called into ever more action as Adelaide search for an equaliser.
Up they rise. Again towards Lopez, but Western Sydney just comfortable dealing with it. Irundakunda looking for a little chip and chase. Brook weaving away from the initial challenge. That's the run of Eunice. Decides against using it. Much to the frustration of the Wanderers fans. Takes on Yull. Trying to send him left and right. And now places it into the arms of Gauci. Now gets the quick release to Halloran. Clough. Gliding through midfield. Valina let it run on to Irundakunda. Irundakunda. Thomas has to palm it away. Clough with the shot, and Marcelo with a key block. He can pull out some moments of magic, can't he? Nestor Irundakunda. Marco Rudan getting quite animated on the sideline.
Look, must have moved. Look at the movement there in the air. As that ball comes firing back in, it's Marcelo with the block. Lawrence Thomas, he was watching that ball come in. It was moving all over the place.
Calviert imploring to his side. He wants the intensity. He wants the push here. Just minutes remaining. Isn't that just beautiful to watch, isn't it, Macca, when a football just dips and swerves like that? Like the Jabulani at the World Cup back in 2010. It was going places, wasn't it? Yull beats Cicluna for pace. Halloran on his outside. Ibasuki in. Oh, then Halloran maybe just cramped up at the key moment.
Well, I think he did just as he went to dink that ball across. The cramp set in. He got it all wrong. It's been a hot and humid night in Western Sydney. Look here. Oh, he just kicks the ground, doesn't he?
And maybe tried to use the cramp as a bit of a disguise. Yeah, if looks could kill. A little bit more relaxed for Marco Rudan. Tunnicliffe looping it over the top for Clough. Ibasuki has so much space around him, but in the end it's a smart foul from Marcelo because he was out wide. Well out of his position to go up against Ibasuki. What's the plan here? Bombolina and Clough sharing some thoughts. Can it deliver a goal? And the header off the bar, Ibasuki. And they've got it away momentarily. Lopez trying to get involved again. It was his initial header. Up goes Thomas and claims the flag is up for offside, but Lopez came within a whisker.
Well, it was a nice ball in, wasn't it? With a curl on it, and Lopez just guides it towards that near post area. Lawrence Thomas, he wasn't sure where it was going. It rattles off the post. And then Western Sydney do whatever they can to get the ball away. And it's inches away from an equaliser from Avi Lopez. It was a wonderful ball in from Clough.
Wow, gee, they've had chances late on here, Adelaide, to pitch something out of this game. Now Lockie Brook, and Isaiah springs away with possession. Just a few minutes of stoppage time remaining. Cicluna did enough just to throw Clough off the scent, and here come Western Sydney again with the clearance. They've got the quality, the Reds, to pinch an unlikely point here. Isaias cut out by Russell. Oh, that was a bit awkward. And Western Sydney get the whistle. This will take a few more seconds off the clock.
It was a sloppy pass from Isaias, wasn't it? He's looking to rectify it. Just get a tangle.
Marcelo overhitting it, but won't displease him too much because the Reds have got to come here from deep in their own half.
Yull swerving away from Eunice.
Placing it. Thomas comes out. Big save again. You can see why. He's got the most clean sheets in the competition so far. He's hunting a 50, goalkeeper of the year from last season.
It's bad from Johnny Yull. See what he's trying to do, bend it around to that back post, but a little too close to Thomas, who comes out well, deals with it.
Won a grand final with his gloves back in 2018. He's a huge player for Western Sydney. Coming to the fore again here tonight, Lawrence Thomas. Isaias, Lopez, two Spaniards combining. Yull getting involved. Yull towards Iwasuki. Now Clough back in towards the mix-up. Hendricks angles the clearance away. It's just going to be a throw here. Referee saying Milanovic made a bit too much of it. Marco Rudin wanting this intensity right until the bitter end. Less than 60 seconds of stoppage time remaining. Irundakunda versus Cleesby, who wins the ball and wins the whistle as well.
Well, he was faced with three Western Sydney defenders there. Story Irundakunda had an opportunity to get the ball in, but opted for the take on. We've seen him do it so many times before. Cleesby defended very well. He said he's enjoying his life with the Western Sydney colours. Well, he's been sensational this season.
Western Sydney fans wanting the full-time whistle. How generous is the referee? That's it. Western Sydney respond from defeat with a victory, which sends them back to the summit. It was gritty, it was hard fought, it was the Western Sydney way. And what a result for these Wanderers. A tough night for Adelaide. A special moment for Dylan Perez, who scored his first goal in the red and black. Adelaide lose 3 straight matches for the first time in more than 2 years. But it's the night for Wanderers. Western Sydney 1, Adelaide United 0. And it takes this rivalry to 10 apiece. Inseparable in their 32 meetings across their history in the Isuzu Ute League. And Western Sydney with another clean sheet. Marcelo a big part of that. Let's get some reaction with Tristan.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'm down here with the match winner, Dylan Perez. Dylan, nothing better than scoring on a Friday night, huh?
Yeah, it felt good, to be honest. You know, as an attacker, you kind of want that first goal, that monkey off the back, so that felt really good. But it's even better to help the team win today. I thought we really needed it. I think we're on top now, I'm not sure, but I think we're really good today. I think we dominated the game. I'm just really happy that we won.
Yeah, you struck the bar last week. You went one better, obviously. It was a great finish.
Yeah, last week, you know, when he hit the bar, I couldn't believe it. I knew I was getting closer, but it's the ones you often don't really have to think much about. It's just instinct, and yeah, it went in, and I was really happy.
It was an unbelievable shift from everyone on the pitch today. Talk to us about what this week has been like, the frustration of last weekend. Like I said, an unbelievable mammoth shift by everyone.
Yeah, last week we obviously were disappointed with the result. We came back a little bit in the end, but our main